Is there somebody that's got something they want to talk about that's pertaining to common law?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we were confused about a point over on the chat. Is Frank getting an attorney, or is Carl dealing with it?
Carl's going to be. Carl is his assistant of counsel, his counsel, and Carl's going to be taking care of everything. His son, little Frank or Frankie, is going to be laying a claim. Well, actually, he's already got it. He's already got a claim laid on the court with his own case number and so on, and he's going to be seeking compensation because he's making a claim for damages. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Carl was talking to the head of the the CPS. I'm not sure if it's the Shenandoah Family Division or what their actual name is. But he was talking to the lady that signed the paperwork to take his kids away today, and he's got her recorded saying that they have hard evidence of what was going on, and then later on denying that she's got hard evidence, stating that, well, the police say so, and so we acted on that. So Carl's got her coming and going on the recording, told her that she was being recorded and that what he was planning on doing with it. So there's a lot of different stuff going on. His mom's going to be making a claim for the restoration of property. Frank Jr. has the same name as his dad, Frank Russo, and so his name was plastered all over the newspapers, and he's going to be seeking compensation for that. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on.
And has Carl talked to Frank since the arrest?
No, he's been locked up.
Well, I'm getting the impression that maybe there's a problem with communications there.
Well, of course there is. There's no way you're going to get any kind of private conversation. When I was in jail, I had a friend of mine who was also a union carpenter from Boston who came up to visit me, and he was my counsel. And he walked right up and told them, hi, I'm counsel for Breton, and they let him in, and we met in a room, and we did that 3 times. He did that 3 times. And that was absolutely fantastic that he had the balls to walk right in and be my counsel and let me know what was going on the outside. The 4th time he went, he was denied access, or better stated, I was denied access to my counsel because Dan and Joe, one of them was from Boston, the other from Plymouth, Massachusetts, they were my counsel. I was in New Hampshire. They were willing to drive up and help me out and help me to understand, because Joe was teaching common law back in 2003. Well, actually, this is March 2004. But, they were already doing that, and I'm sure that's exactly what Carl's going to do. He's going to be that man's counsel. He's got the right to counsel.
But what if he did it?
What if what?
What if Frank did do what he confessed to doing?
Prove it. The man, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, that's why we're having a trial.
What's that?
That's why the trial.
Yeah, have a trial today, right now. Okay? You arrest me for whatever, I don't care what it is. Okay? You make a brand new statute, call it number 501, and it's tennis courts are very valuable, and we do not allow anybody to play basketball on a tennis court anymore. And that's statute number 501. and anybody caught doing so goes to jail for 30 days, okay? So what are you going to do? You're going to arrest me because you saw me out there with a basketball, and you think that somehow you're a code interpreter and that that somehow code applies to me, and so you're going to arrest me, and you're going to give me a trial, 30 or 40 or 50 days later to find out that, I've already done 30 or 40 or 50 days? No, you arrest me, we do trial right now, tomorrow morning. Let's go. You either got a case or you ain't got a case. That's it. It's that simple. You can't just hold them in for 60 or 70 days and say, well, we're just going to give you time served. What the hell is that?
Well,
for some bullshit statute, for some bullshit statute that you just created out of thin air. A man has a right to face his accuser.
Have you looked up the statute? Because it seems like Carl hasn't.
I have not looked it up because, first of all, statutes are created for the good administration of government. Secondly, they're written in a language that's foreign. It's written in legalese. I don't understand legalese, Chinese, Cantonese, or any other foreign language. I've never been compensated to understand that language. Those statutes are created for an entirely different purpose. Man, you can have a statute that deals with larceny, all right, or you can have common law larceny. You can have a statute that deals with barratry, all right, and I forgot what the other name for barratry is in the statutes, where they do it for political reasons. Slap laws, I think they are. I think they're known by. But then you have common law barratry. All that stuff still exists. If you do a search in the statutes for the words common law, it'll tell you in there, in New Hampshire it does, that this does not affect your, this statute does not affect your rights of common law. It says it right in the statutes. So a man has a right to common law and to be dealing with his issues, whatever it is, right now. You got a claim? You got a charge? Let's go. When I went to court in May, they were accusing me of a felony. I was looking at 7 to 15 years. I was ready for trial. Right now, let's do it. Where's the man? Bring him on. Let's get this over with. I'm not going to deal with this for 15 months of stress and headache and nightmares. I was scared to death. I didn't do nothing. I didn't cause harm to any man. It was bullshit. And I demanded the man come forward, the very first hearing. Right now, let's go. Put that man on the stand. I want that man to point his finger at me and tell me I'm the same John Smith that did him harm. Okay? Because I know what's going to happen. He's going to take the stand and say, oh, you're not the guy. You're a different John Smith. That's right. It wasn't me because I didn't do nothing. And this guy, Frank Russo, has the same right to do the same thing. He's got the right to face his accuser. If they got a case, then produce it. Let's go. Otherwise, let him get out, let him live his life, and get himself ready for court and study and do whatever he's going to do. You don't just put a man in there and offer him a plea deal later on of time served. That's freaking bullshit.
I was actually talking to Lynch over a few weeks ago about that. I was wondering, was the other guy in the car charged?
Who?
The guy in the car with you and the gun.
No, he wasn't charged with anything.
Was it his gun?
I'm not gonna. I never saw the gun, and I know for I don't know for a fact. I mean, that man, I had seen him with one before, months before. Asked him, what he was carrying. He never pulled it out. I never saw it. But he told me it was a Smith & Wesson, and that's what I was accused of having possession of. And the officer that testified in court said that the handgun was sitting behind my seat, pointing down in a manner where it looked like it had just been placed there. So, I mean, the only thing I can believe is that that's what happened. Now, I happen to have a whole lot more information than that because, I've got recorded confessions with that man, in the presence of state representatives telling the whole story. So, I'm pretty confident that not only are the recordings good, but I've got witnesses that sat there when, I walked away and he told the story without me being present. So and it was in a restaurant and there was a group of people there. So it wasn't just one witness. So, I've covered all my bases as best I can, but I didn't do a damn thing wrong to anybody. And I was ready for trial that day. And this man has the same right to do the same thing.
Right. So why didn't you tell the cops that it was his gun?
What's that?
Why didn't you tell the cops that it was the passenger's gun?
Because he's a fucking pussy.
But if you had said that, they wouldn't have charged you, right?
Well, of course. If he admitted it was his, but he was out on bail conditions, and I can't say anything because I don't know what's going on with him. So I'm going to leave that alone. But no, they didn't charge him, and I don't know if it was his. I don't have any proof it was his. I never saw him with it, so I don't know. I have no idea.
Mm.
Sounds like he panicked and threw it behind your seat.
Well, that's what I think happened, but I don't have any proof of anything.
Well, if you never touched it, you should have just told the cops that.
What's that?
But if you had done that, then how would we, practice common law and stand as a man and all that? None of that would have been used.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but didn't it go to grand jury?
It did not go to grand jury. What they did is they had, it was in district court, and the man who was acting as an officer that day, Jerry something, I don't remember his name, he testified, and I don't remember it exactly the way he remembers it, but that's his belief, and he was darn accurate. He had he painted a very good visual picture, and I believe that he was telling the truth. He was under oath. Why would I not believe him? I don't know any differently, so he testified, but there was no man making a claim that I had caused any harm, injury, or loss, and I believe Chris was the investigator on the case, and I spoke with the man, Chris, and asked him, was it Chris? I don't remember. If there was a man making a claim against me, and he said no. And I explained to two detectives when we sat together that I was using another man's property, which is it was some kind of a red Toyota, Mazda, or something. I don't know what it was, but it was some other man's property. I was using some other man's property, going about my day, and just minding my own business. I wasn't engaged in commerce. I wasn't, using a motor vehicle. I was not on the ways of the state. There was nothing statutory going on. Okay. So, what they were trying to charge me with was having possession of a firearm. And the way they explained it to me is that when you're in a motor vehicle, anything within your reach is considered constructive possession. And I explained to them that those are all legalese words, and I have no idea what they're talking about. But fortunately for me, I was in somebody's property, and I was just, going about my day. And I wasn't in a motor vehicle, and I was not on the ways of the state. And, whatever, these guys have a tough job to do. They deal with, heroin addicts and all sorts of other stuff. They do some really good work, and I'm really happy they're out there doing what they do. I could not handle. I know there's some nasty, disgusting people out there, and I could not handle doing their job, and I told them so. There's no way I could be a detective. Just thinking about the stuff they might actually see and deal with, holy crap, no way. There's no way I could do it. And I'm glad they're doing their job. But, they were dealing with a man, and, I was not doing harm, causing harm to any other man, period. And that was the bottom line.
And if you guys want to know what went on the court system, go to Gus's talk show and look at the short recording and it's right there.
Yeah, there's a 9-minute recording of me being in court. So what happened is Dennis Hogan is the county prosecutor. And when I got out of jail, I made bail 2 days later, and I sent Dennis notice that there was a man who was acting as chief of police, David Mara, who was bearing false witness against me, and that I expected him to prosecute that man because he was causing me harm, and that I was willing to forgive that man. And I put notice into my case stating the same thing. And I let the county prosecutor's office know that when this case comes from district court and comes up to his office and you bring this before the grand jury, that I expect to be fully heard in my defense according to the New Hampshire Bill of Rights at Article 14 and 15, the rights of the accused, all right, the right to provide a full defense, to be fully heard, all right. I have a right to bring my claim, and I gave him a notice that I was going to put a claim in against this man who was bearing false witness against me if it got to if they didn't drop it. You're telling me I did something wrong, and the guy who's testifying against me is somebody that I've never met, and he put his name on a sworn affidavit stating that I did something to somebody? Come on, give me a break. Don't chew that guy up. He doesn't even know who I am, and he's swearing that I did something. He couldn't pick me out of a lineup. It's ridiculous. It was all bullshit. So the case ended up going to Dennis's office. Dennis passed it on to somebody else, and I've known Dennis for a few years. He's a great guy. It's best I can tell. I mean, he ran for office. Was elected. I think he did 2 terms as county prosecutor. Then somebody else was in there last time. Now he's back in. He's back in office. He's got just as much of a tough job as the cops got to do. It's society. I mean, it's how the machine works. And I let Dennis, the man, know that I expected to be before the grand jury if this ever went before them, and that if it went away, I was willing to forgive everybody. Because I'm not looking to cause any damage. I just want to be let alone and go on with my life.
Well, it just seems like you made it way too complicated. I mean, you just said you did 2 days in jail. You went to court a few times, and when you could have avoided it just by telling the cops at the side of the road that it was the other guy's gun.
I didn't know if it was the other guy's gun. I don't know.
But you just said that you saw him carrying it.
And they wouldn't believe you anyway. They would keep pressing on.
They asked me, the cop said there's a gun in the back seat. Put your hands on the steering wheel. I put my hands on the steering wheel. I don't know what the hell he was looking at. I didn't know if he was looking at a Smith & Wesson. I didn't find that out till I think I think I found that out during that hearing the following week. I don't even think they mentioned it at the bail hearing. So I didn't know what they found. I didn't know if it was a shotgun. I didn't know if it was an AK-47. I have no idea what they found back there. I never saw it. I had no idea what it was. So what am I going to say? It ain't mine. He asked me, "Do you know? What's that gun doing there?" I said, "I don't know." I never looked. I think for all I know, they were making that shit up.
But the good thing about it is we're learning this stuff, and obviously you want to try it anyway. So if you had said it wasn't yours or another excuse, we would have learned nothing, and we wouldn't have the great case that we have as something to show that this works.
And the other thing of it is that it didn't matter whose gun it was. It was supposedly within reach of the defendant, and as long as it's within reach and the defendant is a felon, then they've got to
Actually, that's actually not true. I've got the case law that so long as the other guy can have the gun, it's fine for Gus.
Okay, but to the other guy, I don't know if it was his. Okay, I don't know.
You saw him carrying it. Who else could it have been?
And the other thing of it is, the other guy.
It wasn't my car. Okay, it wasn't my property, and it wasn't his property. Okay.
At no point did you ask him, "Hey, is that your gun?"
What's that?
You didn't ask him, "Hey, is that your gun? Hey, I'm a felon. I need you to tell them that it's your gun, so I won't have to go to jail."
We didn't have a chance to talk to have a discussion about this. We got pulled over. Yeah, I got pulled over. There was emergency lights behind me. I pulled out. I got out of the way, and they came up and they saw the gun. That's all I know.
Yeah, but
I don't even know that.
At some point during the stop, you could have asked him to tell the cops that it was his.
But the guy you're talking about that's supposed to claim it his gun, was also out on bail. So there may have been...
Was he a felon?
I'm not going to tell another man to tell anybody something. It's not my business.
Not only that, we're learning this common law stuff, and we're going to be playing statutory games.
Yeah.
Well, he got off because of a statutory excuse.
Who?
He got off because of statutory excuse. What was that?
I didn't get out of anything for a statutory excuse.
It was the other guy's gun. That's the statutory excuse.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
Oh, you're not going there.
And of course,
no,
there.
It's none of my business what the statutes were. They're not created for me. I was there in court as a man to remain in honor, to act in good faith with clean hands, to let them know that any man coming forward to make a claim against me, that I was there to settle that claim. End of story. Bring the man forward. All right, and if they didn't bring the man forward and they wanted to go forward, with the case, I would have put a habeas corpus in to drag that plaintiff in. Bring that man in, put him on the stand. I have a right to face my accuser.
So you're claiming that if it really was your gun, you could have gotten off on common law.
That's how he did anyway. They don't know whose gun it is.
Why don't you try?
Okay, listen, the bottom line is there's no man making a claim. Nobody is claiming that I caused anybody harm. All right, the purpose of court in the first place is to settle a controversy. The government exists to secure the rights of man, to protect man's property. Rights are a subset of man's property. So they exist to secure property of man. And court exists as a tool, as a way to do that. So you have a controversy between a man and another man, and one man takes the stand, tells his side of the story, or he doesn't have to take the stand; he can just stand wherever he wants. But he's in open court under oath or affirmation. He's going to give his side of the story. He's going to say, "Gus came onto my lawn, did 3 donuts, and took off." And his Hummer or whatever he was in, and tore up my lawn. It cost me $1,800 to get it fixed, and here's the bill, and I want to get paid. And I'm going to say, sorry, Bob, I didn't know that was your lawn. Here's a check for $1,800. Why didn't you just get a hold of me privately? Because that's one man saying that another man caused him harm, and I would have no defense. Okay, in this case, I was in court. I didn't know who was taking me there, and I wanted to know. Somebody's playing the music. Somebody had invited me to this dance. Who am I dancing with?
Hey, Gus, by the way, who's the guy talking to you? Who's the other guy? What's your name? Who?
Jeff.
Jeff? Where are you from?
Florida.
Florida. Hey, good to meet you. This is Vital.
All right.
So, clarification, Gus. I thought...
Hello?
You still there?
You're breaking up, or I can't hear you. Hold on. Go ahead.
I dropped for me, too.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. Sorry. I thought I disconnected the phone. I thought I heard that the man on the other side, the writer, was also arrested and charged with a misdemeanor. Misdemeanor.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
This is somebody I've known for 3 years, and I'm in a car, and bad things happened, and I decided, you know what? I never need to speak to this man again, ever.
All right, that's cool. No, because I thought Carl had mentioned that the other guy was charged with misdemeanor, and he got a court-appointed attorney, and he was still dealing with it.
He might be. I don't know.
All right.
You haven't checked?
I don't know what happened that night. All I know is I went to court. No man came forward to make a claim against me. I went home. The case went to the prosecutor's office the following week. He dropped it, and the chief of police retired a couple days later.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
So would you carry a gun again?
What's that?
Would you carry a gun?
No, I'm a convicted felon.
Well, isn't that a statute?
It is a statute, but yeah, I'm not going to fuck with the system. It's fine. You know, when I'm ready to clean that up, I'm going to write a letter to the court, and I'm going to let them know they made an error, and I'm going to take care of it. I might take care of it before the end of the year.
Well, as a man, if you wanted to, you could. But you're just avoiding trouble.
Yeah, but why mess around? You know, it's not like I'm going hunting. It's not like I need to have one. I mean, I have a whole lot more use for something now that I'm living out in the woods of Minnesota.
Do they have that same statute over there?
I have no idea what they got over here.
All right.
Well, can a man do what he wishes so long as he causes no harm to another man? I don't know. What's the common law on that? You know, what's been the law that has been common through all the land since God said, "Go forth, have dominion over the earth." You know, so man went out, he's out there, he's doing his thing, and justice for thousands of years has been in place. You know, there's law that has been in place, and everybody knows if you don't hurt another man, everything's good. So why would it change now?
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Jeff, you just started learning this stuff?
I've been talking to Craig for a while.
Craig Lynch?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it seems like you just started learning this because of the questions that you're asking.
Well, we had some doubts about the stop.
Well, now, I mean, we have the case file.
Have you put it online?
What's that, Jeff?
Have you put it online? I haven't seen it.
I didn't do it. Vital and Mike or somebody.
Yeah,
somebody went and got a complete certified copy from the clerk, and it's out there. I mean, I've got a copy. Somebody gave me a copy.
If you want to get in touch, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to Craig Lynch, whoever.
There's a question. Has Carl talked about his little plate case he's got on the 17th?
Which case is that?
The trailer with no plate, I think.
Yeah, he's got a court date on 17th.
It's a civil case. You know, he might just put in a notice that he's not ready to move forward and put that off till 2037.
What's that case about?
I believe it was he was on the road with a trailer with improper plate or something.
He's got a heavy equipment trailer, and he never put tags on it.
Okay.
So what he's claiming there is, what authority do you have to tell me how to use my property?
So what's Carl's plan if Frank tells him that he did it?
Probably rip his throat out.
Hearsay.
It seems like he should talk to him.
Well, it's not up for me to figure out. We have a system of law. It's set up a very specific way. You got the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights, which preserves a man's common law right to freedom of speech, freedom of religion, which is not actually freedom of religion. It says that it says something entirely different than that, but you know what I'm talking about. And then it goes on to talk about redress and the right to put petitions into the government. And then you get the Second Amendment. The third one's hilarious. Most people don't know what that is at all. Actually, quartering of soldiers. People don't pay attention to what's right before their face. And then you get the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment, which have to do with protecting yourself from, okay, you got freedom of speech. If you piss off the government enough, okay, what's going to happen is they're going to try to shut you down. So you get the freedom of speech, which means they cannot shut you down. You're allowed to speak. And if you do so enough and you're well connected, you're going to have freedom of the press. Now, we've got that. We do it with YouTube, and we do it with websites now. So that's freedom of the press. And then, if that's not enough to get your point across and you want to put a formal writing into the government's offices or whatever, you got redress petitions. So that's the end of that's the whole freedom of speech thing. And the religion part is I have a right to my conscience, which is the basis from which I speak from anyway. My conscience dictates what I believe is important and how things should be done. So my conscience is what I'm going to be having a freedom of speech about. And what I'm going to be writing on my website is going to be about what's on my conscience. So the number one thing, Article 4 of the New Hampshire Bill of Rights, has to do with the rights of conscience, which is where your freedom of religion comes from in Article 1 of the U.S. Bill of Rights. So the next one is, if you're speaking and you're publishing, you have the right to defend yourself. If they come after you with violence, you have the right to defend yourself. That's the Second Amendment. And one way to, another way to keep track of you, to make sure that you're not speaking too loudly or publishing too much, is to put a soldier in your house to make sure that they can keep a real good eye on you. So that's the Third Amendment, to make sure that no soldier will be in your house watching over you so that you're free to do as you wish. Now, if they can't put a soldier in your house, keep an eye on you, and they can't get you to shut up, what's the next thing they're going to do? Well, they're going to come in and steal your computers and take your paperwork away, and they're going to, whatever. So, Fourth Amendment, all right, you have the right to be secure in your effects, your papers, your stuff. All right, and it goes on, no warrant shall issue without oath or affirmation. And you get the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment. These are all to protect you from an attack from people that would, strip you of your right to be let alone. And then how do you fight back? Well, you have the Seventh Amendment, your rights in common law to file a lawsuit and to pursue whoever it is that's causing you harm for compensation. The Eighth Amendment has to do with cruel and unusual punishment and bail conditions. Okay, excessive bail, cruel and unusual punishment. Okay, in 2004, I put paperwork into the county recorder's office, putting a lien on somebody's property who was a guardian ad litem. All right, that was my crime. I put paperwork into the county recorder's office, all right, for that, and I did some other stuff like that. It's all paperwork related, Secretary of State's office and so on. So
what was the witness
I had a bail. Hold on, I'm not done talking.
Okay.
For that, I had a bail condition of $50,000 cash only. Now I didn't hit some old lady with a baseball bat, okay? I put paperwork into the county recorder's office. If $50,000 cash only bail is not excessive bail, I don't know what the hell is. All right, but that's what the Eighth Amendment's about. The Ninth Amendment talks about that any rights that a man has before the Constitution was created, if they're not expressly dealt with, enumerated, that doesn't mean that they disappear. They're still there. So all rights are retained by a man in that condition. And then Article 10 talks about that all rights it talks about the separation between the states and the federal government and the state government, and that anything not given up is specifically reserved to the state and or to the people. So these are the fundamental basics that people need to get a hold of. They need to understand that a person is whatever the legislature says it is. All right, and a man has no duty or obligation to any government, entity, because he's a man. He's the creator of government. So there's some real basic stuff. And,
Gus?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you unmute Mark there? He's had his hand up for a while.
Mark?
Yeah, Gnostic one.
Oh, he must have called back in.
Sorry. Sorry to break your rule.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead, Mark. Hey, Mark? All right, well, Mark's unmuted. He must have called back and must have got dropped. I unmuted him earlier.
Okay.
But, these, the New Hampshire Constitution, it's the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. Governments are instituted among men to secure rights and to protect property. End of story. All right? So if I'm in court, then there must be a man on whose behalf the government is acting, because that's what they do. They secure rights and protect the property of man. So who's the man? Who's the guy that you're protecting, that you're securing his rights, his property? Who's that man? All right, because somebody sent me an invitation. I'm here. I'm here to remain in honor, to settle all controversy before the court. So where's the man that says I do wrong? Because that's what you exist for. You exist for that man, that other guy, the guy that says I did donuts on his front lawn. You don't exist to just create shit out of thin air and slap me upside the head with it.
Hey, don't talk about donuts when you talk about cops.
What's that?
Don't talk about donuts when you talk about cops. They don't like that.
Come on, don't go there.
But I am actually really, really convinced that, like, we have the crown up here and everybody knows we do, but I'm very convinced that the feds down south of us also have the crown. I don't know about the states, but I'm pretty sure that you guys have the crown running the show on the Fed side.
Yeah, they might, but what difference does it make? That's their business. The man, there was a whole bunch of men that got together, and they created some document, and from that creation, there exists a government, whatever it is. And, they created it with the intent, that the self-evident intent that governments are instituted among men to secure rights. Rights are part of property, to protect the property. And then, they had the Articles of Confederation over here. I don't know what you guys had up there at that time. Quebec was invited to join the 13 colonies because, Canada, because it was also a colony.
Whatever the crown out of the UK gives us. Parliament of the UK gives us whatever we have.
It is. Back when... 200 years ago, 250 years ago, Canada was invited by the other 13 colonies to become part of the United States. And, they under the Articles of Confederation, I think it was Article 5 or 6, where they invited Canada to join. And, but then later on, 15 years later, or, something like that, in 1789, they passed this other thing. They ratified this other thing, which is, to provide. In order to form a more perfect union, which was a union of countries, because every state is a country. New Hampshire, Minnesota, these are all countries. If you want a really cool thing on that, look up the treaty IRS has with each state. There's a treaty between the states and the IRS because the states are countries. And in order for the U.S. government to be able to deal with the states, they have to have a treaty. And that's really cool. So look that up and it'll blow your mind.
There were actually separate republics. I don't know about countries. There were republics.
They're countries. There's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There's State of New Hampshire. There's the Commonwealth of Virginia. So, these are different countries. And they formed, at the beginning, they formed a confederation of countries. They united together for the same purpose. And in order to form a more perfect union later, which continues on by saying that, to ensure justice and provide for the common defense and blah, 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 which is still self-evident that they were there to secure rights and to protect property. They've been repeating that over and over again, to secure rights, to protect property, over and over and over again. All the constitutions that existed before the Constitution for the U.S. all said the same thing. All right, so nothing has changed. Okay, man is in control. Man has the right to be let alone. The government exists to secure rights and to protect property. They're allowed to produce statutes, codes, ordinances, and whatever you want to call, those creations, in order to run as efficiently as possible and to save man money, to make sure that they're not spoiling things, they're not screwing things up. Don't be burning money for no reason. So that's the purpose of the statutes and codes, to make sure that the government runs efficiently. Look at Article 38 of the New Hampshire Constitution. Very clear what it says. Okay? Necessary, they're allowed, the people have a right to require of their lawgivers and magistrates an exact and constant adherence to the fundamental principles of the Constitution in the formation and execution of the laws necessary for the good administration of government. Who's breaking up?
Yeah, there's an echo going on.
Yeah, mute yourself out if you're not talking. 6. So, hey, I'm all done. I'm all done ranting, man. We've been on here for 3 hours and 10 minutes.